What's up, you guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. This will be my second time attempting to record this because I messed up the order of the questions the first time. So yay! But anyway, we have some more question and answers to get through here from Evan's Instagram DMs that he's been answering. So let's get right down to the nitty gritty of these topics here, shall we? So the first question he asked is... So he asked about DLC characters from Fall of Cybertron and War for Cybertron, and Evan responded to this question with, yes, I'd say they're certainly possible, just perhaps lower priority. So that's interesting that he would actually come out and say that they're lower priority and they're not, focusing on those characters as much as other characters within Studio Series. That's kind of crazy to hear. I can't remember per se the characters from, the DLC portion of War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, but that's kind of interesting. It makes you wonder what characters are they actually prioritizing right now for the next couple years in Studio Series, because we have realized that the Gamer Edition subline has kind of taken a back seat recently in terms of getting new molds. So I really wonder what's going on internally behind the scenes over at Hasbro in terms of the gamer figures coming out in Studio Series in the near future, these next couple years. And the second question regarded to the DS concept characters like Hot Rod and BLUESTREAK, and Evan responded to this saying, "You mean from the DS games? Yes, absolutely, would love to tackle them someday." Those DS games, I forgot all about them having different characters in those DS War for Cybertron games. So, I mean, dude, bring every single War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron design, whether it's from the Xbox and PlayStation or the DS games back in the day. Just give me every single character from that game continuity, and I'll be straight. That goes for Hasbro and third party. Just give them all to me, because I know Planet X has a bunch that I'm going to be getting at some point. Hasbro's dipping their feet in some. Hopefully they continue to do so and they improve on the subline. But yeah, I just want them all. Hot Rod and BLUESTREAK, Cyclonus, Magnus, Insecticons, whatever. Give them all to me. Oh, and by the way, I totally forgot to say this was sent in from a fellow viewer of mine. I've been saying the next question he asked, and I didn't even cover who the hell sent this to me. So this is from, this is a hard username to say. I'm not exactly sure how to say this, but is it Zeyond or Beyond 4 Uggs or Beyond Bugs or something? I don't know, but shout out to you. Thank you for sending me this information and making this video possible. I really appreciate it. But the final question here was talking about War for Cybertron concept characters like Springer and Prowl, and Evan responded to this saying, "Oh, I certainly can. Nothing is off the table." Alright, so he's not as adamant to talk about the specifics about those characters, but, he's not saying they'd never do them. So it's probably something that, they would probably get to at some point, but it's not something in the plans for the near future, because if it was something coming out in the near future, he usually says, "Oh, we've been talking about Takara, we've been talking about doing this internally, or we have plans for this, just not right now, or we have it planned down the line," stuff like that. So I wouldn't expect concept art, War for Cybertron game characters anytime soon, it seems like, by the sounds of his answer. But there's been questions that he's answered over the last year or two to stuff that we got like a year or two later. And if you look back at some of these answers, they're totally opposite and totally different from what actually happened. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen in the next year or two, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is like 5, 6, 7 years from now. And this other segment of a few questions I'm going to cover here was also sent to me by a fellow viewer of mine here on YouTube, Nayformers.1986. Thank you again for sending this piece of information to me and making this video possible. I really appreciate it. It's guys like you, all of my followers, and everybody who watches my videos. You guys help me out tremendously in my life, and I cannot thank you guys enough. So this first question that he asked Evan here is, with the reissue of Legacy Breakdown being thought of, could Stunticons like Wild Rider and Motormaster be in the works too? And Evan answered this with, yes, absolutely. I think you can expect them to be rerun as well. Wow, so it seems like I don't know if we're getting a rerun of the multi-pack or single releases or both, whatever the case may be at some point here soon down the line, because he has been talking about doing a breakdown reissue the last month or so that I've been covering here on the channel, so that's probably coming out sometime next year. And I wouldn't be surprised if among those reissues next year, we're going to be getting some other Stunticon members reissued that have become a bit hard to find on the aftermarket the last couple years. So bring them all on. You know, the Stunticons, they're a very staple combiner from G1. Everybody loves them. Everybody wants them. So make the fans happy, and then obviously Hasbro gets their cheddar cheese at the end of the day so they can make bank off of these rare molds. It just makes sense from a business perspective and pleasing your fans. So yeah, I definitely think this is coming maybe next year, I'd say. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And the second question that he asked Evan here says, following the Insecticon Anniversary 3-pack, will there be singular releases for the original trio, and if you can, ransack? And Evan said here, more than likely, yes. We've been breaking out some of our exclusives to run them as their own releases, just takes time. So it seems like he's kind of acknowledging the listings that leaked for the 2026 Target exclusive subline while not, you know, outright saying, oh yeah, we know about the 3-pack listing and it's coming next year, blah, blah, blah. He's giving information. He's obviously not going to do that because he works for Hasbro and he can't say future releases that haven't been revealed yet, that have been leaked. But it seems like we're probably going to get that 3-pack next year. And then we're going to get more Insecticon remolds or repaints similar to Ransack and stuff like that as single releases in whatever the Generations line is going to be called by that time. And then on top of that, possibly singular re-releases of the main 3 Insecticons themselves, maybe in like different color schemes. I don't know what that could be, but I'm sure it's probably like obscure repaints they can do for the main trio of G1 Insecticons that I'm just not thinking of off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, you know, the Insecticons are super popular within the fandom. Hasbro is surely getting their money's worth out of these new Insecticon molds the last few years from these reissues and repaints and retools the last 2-3 years. So it's definitely a matter of when and not if at this point. And, you know, his answer here, it's definitely saying that we can expect more figures from the Insecticons and obviously some reissues in the next year to a couple years of some of the harder to find Insecticons on the aftermarket the last couple years. So bring them all on. I'm super excited. Love me some Insecticons. And this third question that he asked Evan here is, one of my favorite Autobots is Warpath. So could a reissue / rework / remold be in the works or being considered? And Evan responded with, certainly we need to give him his blue eyes at some point. Whoa. Oh man, so he's basically talking about doing a Warpath reissue of the Kingdom mold with his blue eyes. I can't remember what color his eyes were with that Kingdom release. I think they were just like black or red or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, blue would look really cool. Bring out the sculpt of his head and the colors and everything like that. Bring it on. That mold is really nice. It's like, you know, I don't really like throwing this around for every figure, but he kind of feels like one of those mini-bot masterpiece figures. Like a mini... It's kind of funny. He's a mini-bot, but then he's also a mini masterpiece, essentially, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I would like to see that mold get out there again for Warpath and not a Diaclone or an eHobby exclusive repaint or whatever. Or I think it was a GoBot. I can't remember what that repaint was, but yeah, so he's saying here we're going to do a Blue Eyes Warpath re-release at some point. So that's exciting to hear as somebody who's a Warpath fan. And I'm sure a lot of people out there watching this are super hyped hearing this too. So bring it on, Evan, please. And this fourth question here is, will the components that connect Brawl / Swindle to Bruticus be compatible with any other current or future combiners? And Evan responded with, there will be a unique connection to the legs, but the thighs will be the same connection as seen on the other combiners, so they can swap at the thighs. So not too surprised with this answer here. They're still trying to do that cross compatibility with the combiners while still doing the frame system and trying to keep them as G1 cartoon accurate as possible the last couple years. So I am not surprised in the slightest by this feature still being prevalent with the Combaticons coming next year. Hopefully this means they're going to do something with the Nexus Prime, because we did hear in the SDCC interview that that Nexus Prime release coming out next year, that mind you is going to be a Voyager class, is still going to be a combiner in some way. I can't remember who said that, if that was Evan, but I'm pretty sure it was during a San Diego Comic-Con interview a few months ago that I covered here on the channel. So maybe that means it's going to be compatible with the Combaticons and the Superion stuff. Like, you know, you could take off some of the limbs from Superion and the Combaticons and mix and match them in a way that is kind of a design reference in Q to the Fun Publications version of Nexus Prime back in the 2000s. That would be really sick to see. As a Unicron Trilogy fan myself, I would love to see that be referenced. Bring it on. That would be sick. But yeah, guys, that does it for all the question and answers I want to cover in this video. Stay tuned for more coming up on the channel. There's going to be a slew of news and info and leaks to talk about this month for November. So stay tuned, guys. It's going to get pretty crazy this month. But yeah, thank you all for watching this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.